How to deal with my 19-year-old daughter who is armed by her mother and behaves like a copy of her. She still lives with her. It's really hard because like if they're not willing to be able to handle boundaries and be able to talk through that, a lot of times you have to be able to pull back a little bit. My child made an allegation against the narcissist. Narcissist swears it didn't happen and will take a lie detector test. Do I believe the child or the narcissist? Narcissists are typically like lying, period. So like, I don't know. I can't really say like what's true or not, but I do know from past experience and from talking to a lot of different people that we talk to, over 2,500 different people that I've talked to, is a narcissist will take a lie detector test or will at least pretend to take a lie detector test just to be able to prove his point. Okay. Once I found out of her disorder, why did she replace me with a 25-year-old? As soon as you expose, it's like on to the next person. Ben, you helped me out so much. Thank you for keeping it real. Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be able to hear that. Should I tell my side of how the narcissist really is? Tell my side? Tell my side of how the narcissist really is. So you can, but the thing is, you have to be careful, is because when you're doing this, oftentimes it looks like you're just trying to smear the other person. So at the end of the day, like, how is it actually like helping you heal and grow? If it's in a healing place, then yeah, absolutely. Okay. How to get the person to leave you alone after you said you don't want them. Block, ghost, no go, no contact, get a protection order. Like, you have to be able to continue to move this forward. How do you convince them that they're a narcissist? You don't. You convince them that they're a liar. You can't convince a person that they're a narcissist when they're not willing to do the basic principle of actually being a liar. If they can't admit that, they're never going to admit anything else. I have a coworker who copies my behavior, values, everything I say, etc. It's creepy. Is this a sign that he is one? And if so, how can I get him to stop? Not necessarily. That's not necessarily a characteristic of a narcissist copying. You could have like mirroring might be a piece of it. So I can see that where you're coming from, but it's not necessarily like enough to be able to say, hey, yes or no, narcissist wise. He always says I upset our 4 adult children and I should sit down and listen to each one of them. You could, but you also need to be able to see their side of the story, because he might be just poisoning them with his own opinions on the other side. He was going through divorce. He lied to me and love bombed the shit out of me. Then he said he's not ready for anything and needs to process divorce. Then had a girlfriend long distance the whole time. A lot of times they're always going to keep people like on the line, on the hook. I'd like to go see friends on my own because we're constantly fighting. He says we either go together or not at all. How can I go about this? Like, the hard thing right now is he's put you in prison, and like until you actually break out of it, like you're not going to be able to do much, because anytime you try to do something with your friends, he's going to isolate you. I just did a video on this today. It'll get released next week on YouTube, where it's talking about like narcissists isolate you without ever saying no. Like, they isolate you and you have no clue about it. Okay. What's it mean he's not living this lifestyle anymore? Interesting. I'm not really sure. Why do people believe the narcissist? Oftentimes it's because they've set like a baseline level of like quote unquote trust with like another person, of like they appear trustworthy. And so then they continue believing the lie. Why does he delay calling me? It's in unknown. Why does he delay him calling me? I don't know. I mean, the first instinct is like, if he's delaying calling you, especially when you're reaching out or something like that, it's probably because he's talking to someone else. How do you know when it's the last discard? When you actually make sure it's the last discard, meaning you actually block, ghost, go no contact, so that he can't come back to you. Otherwise, be prepared for him to come back. Like, there is no last discard of like, oh, it's final and he's never coming back. A lot of times he's going to keep coming back. Going to mediation on Thursday, best piece of advice. Sorry, but the best piece of advice I could give you is don't go to mediation and go straight for divorce. Like, go straight to the court system. Some places you have to go through mediation because that's the law, that's the state legality, all that kind of stuff. Just understand that mediation is going to typically drag it out longer. Mediation, walk in knowing what you want, and don't communicate what you want, because what you want is exactly what he will not give you. So be careful with that. I've learned a lot from watching your videos. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry for asking so many questions. No, you're good. I'm filing a restraining order, and I'm terrified of how everything is going to go down, as he has a lot of flying monkeys who also now suddenly ghosted too. So this is great. Like, the more flying monkeys you can block or that ghost you, the better. Broke the restraining order and bail conditions, being sentenced in court. Will he ever leave me alone? Don't know that for sure, but what I would say is stay insanely consistent on the restraining order, on calling the cops, on getting him thrown back in jail every single time. Okay. Because you want to have this systematic, so he knows there's no chance of him interacting with you, talking to you, seeing you, anything like that. Why is his new supply so involved in me and the narcissist co-parenting? Could be she's toxic as well. I've seen that. My narcissist is a friend. She smeared my name. How do I fix this with the people who listen to all the lies? You don't. I mean, you could go to all the people and you could be like, hey, this is the actual story. But at the end of the day, like, you're going to look like a douche being like, oh, let me fix this. Instead, like, you live your life so that no one can actually say anything about you. Like, you live your life so that they can't hold a candle to like what she's saying. And they're like, wait a second, that's not true, because this is how he's showing up. Okay. There's a difference. Why they use your kids as leverage? Because they view them as leverage. Like, they view them as being like the chips to be able to turn the tables toward them. I haven't seen my ex narcissist for 10 years. He hugged me for a long time and then kissed me twice. Why? Like, you will see them try to come back at any time. You'll see them try to make a spark at any time to be able to show themselves that they still got it. Okay, so you have to understand. He kicked me out before I could put him in jail. He paid a lot of money to lawyers and tried to get a DVTRO. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry. On me just by cutting and pasting text message. It didn't stick. Should I put him in jail? If that's something that like is there as far as like legally wise, then yeah, I would say put him in jail. What can trigger a Hoover? Have been very successful at work and expect a Hoover. It could be that, but you have to understand a Hoover isn't about you. Like, I hate to be able to say it that way, but like Hoovers are also about the narcissist. They're not about you. The narcissist doesn't care about you. Like the narcissist is like, oh, I'm low on supply. Oh, like this isn't happening. Let me contact that person. It's not about you as much as you think. Narcissist, it's always about them. How do you make a narcissist recognize they are a liar? It's always an excuse. That's the hard thing is like, unless you can give them like this proof and they actually are willing to actually see it. Now, sometimes it's like, if you can sidestep it and you can show proof without it coming across like attacking, like this is like, there's sections a lot of times I don't like to talk about because then everybody tries this and it doesn't work. But like if there's a piece there of them being willing to be honest, it's like, hey, we need to talk about this. Like this actually isn't true. Like there's no like facts here. My ex is alcoholic, has so many narcissistic traits. Is that common? Yeah, it's very common. And you're not going to be able to deal with the majority of the narcissistic traits until you deal with the alcohol. Like there's just no way because you can't deal with this like with a muddled head. Like it's hard enough to be able to work through all the crap in the head of a narcissist, much less if it's a sedated narcissist. Like you're not going to get anywhere. What can I say to him? If he turns up at my door, make him walk away without tossing things around and hit me. The police network are not much help. Yeah, I was going to say, like, first off, if he shows up at your door, like, keep it locked and call the police. Like, say, hey, there's someone, like, bothering me. I don't know what that looks like there. I don't know if you can call a friend or, like, someone else to be able to help with that. But I would say, like, don't let him in. Like, that's the piece of, like, block, ghost, go no contact, and keep that so he can't actually get into your life. Real question. Does a narcissist actually know that he's a narcissist? A lot of them don't know the name or the terminology or realize, oh, I'm a diagnosed narcissist, right? A lot of them like know that they don't show up, that they show up different. A lot of them know that there's something weird, but when it comes down to it, like they don't care. Like they're just trying to do what they're trying to do in that moment. They'll never admit fault. They twist every detail against you. Yeah, a lot of times they switch it around. He bought everything for me, cooked, did the household, but didn't want sex. Why didn't he want sex but want everything else? But he cheated. Yeah, like oftentimes it's this like push and play. Like I can't give you the specific on that. I just know a lot of times covert narcissists, malignant narcissists will use sex as an emotional manipulation tool, and sometimes even a high of trying to be able to manipulate that person in a certain way. Why do they smear your name and then try to hoover you? Doesn't that make them look bad? You would think, but the narcissist doesn't care about that. Like he doesn't care about like that image piece when it comes to that aspect. Like he can still justify in his head of like, oh, well, yeah, she was so awful to me, but now I'm going back because I'm going to give her a second chance. So he'll flip the story in his head and he'll flip the story to other people. Okay.